Well, we will go ahead and get started. It is time to get going. It's right at the 1:45 mark. So, welcome, Stacy. Would you tell us a little bit about your role with Intermountain, and then you can jump into your Be Well moment. And then you can throw it back to me for the stretch part.
Fantastic. So I am the Chief Investment Officer for Intermountain Health. I've been in my current role for 4 years, but as a seasoned investment professional, I've been here 19 years, doing all things. Maybe you don't know, but in total, I have oversight of $25 billion. And that's because I oversee all of it, whether it's our operating funds, our pension funds, even your employee retirement. When you think about what the options are in the employee savings plans, those are under my guidance as well. So it won't surprise anyone, I don't think, when I say that today we're going to talk about financial wellness and how that can impact us. And so hopefully, can you see my screen, Cami? Perfect. So I'm going to talk, I could talk all day about investments, but I'm only going to talk about one area, and that is the value of time. And there's this great quote that I found from Harvey McKay, and he says that time is free, but it's priceless. You can't own it, but you can use it. You can't keep it, but you can spend it. Once you've lost it, you can never get it back. And I think this is really important because I think sometimes when we are so busy focusing on our families and our jobs and everything, I think we sometimes kick the can down the road and we can sometimes say, oh, I will do that tomorrow. And so I want to kind of talk about what we're choosing when we choose to kick the can down the road when we think about our employee savings plan and how we contribute. And so I'm going to tell you this parable. And the parable is of the twins. And the names we're going to call the twins today are Fred and George. And yes, I am a Harry Potter fan. So when we think about our two twins, first let's talk about Fred. Now, Fred, when he was 25, he was a pretty savvy saver. I don't know that I have a kid that is a super savvy saver, and I have a 25-year-old. So I know how unreasonable this parable and this scenario is, but it does illustrate a very good point. And that is that Fred at age 25 had $10,000 and he invested it for 35 years at 7%. Now, a couple of years ago, 7% seemed outside the realm of possibility. But today, with overnight interest rates at about 5%, 7% is a very realistic number to use. So when we look at what happened, he went from his 10,000 all the way up to almost 120,000 by the time he was 60. But his brother George was not nearly as frugal. And George, at age 35, accumulated 10,000 and he invested it at 7% for 25 years. So when we look at the difference here, you can see that the difference between the two brothers totals $57,000. So the value of time in this instance by waiting 10 years was $57,000. Now, all is not lost from George. He can make it up the difference. But in order to do that, what George would have to do is he'd have to put down twice as much, 20,000. And if he did that at 7% for 25 years, then his line does shift and he becomes the same as Fred. And so when we think about that we're going to wait to invest, I want us to think about how we are losing the benefit of compounding our money over time. And when I relate that to our employee savings plan and what we can do there, and maybe take it down a notch from 10 grand, because that's unreasonable that anyone of us is going to get that. But if we think about it per paycheck, now if you make $30,000 a year, and if you were to take 5% and invest it in yourself, and then that allows you to maximize what Intermountain does, separate from the non-contributory, of course. This is just the 4% match that they'll give you. What happens over a 25 year period just by investing that $57 per pay period, you can see that over 25 years, you would have contributed almost $37,500. Intermountain would have contributed $30,000, and the earnings on that is $115,000 for a total of $182,000. And you can see that it really ratchets up the longer that you have those funds. So at 10 years, you're only at 39. At 15 years, 71, 21, 17. So really, time is your friend when you think about how you invest. And I know sometimes at this point we think, oh, that means I am the bad twin, right? I'm the one who I'm not disciplined. And I don't want you to think about this from what's good or bad, but rather what the potential is that we can do if we do this. And so you may think, well, how do I get my $57? It's $4 a day is the equivalent. Now I thought about myself. So this is not judging any of you. This is reflecting upon where I maybe spend too much of my money and what I value, as opposed to putting more in investments. One of which is the combo meal at Wendy's. And honestly, I have to confess, today I had a Wendy's combo meal before this meeting. And it literally cost me, and because it was me and my husband had lunch together, and it literally cost me half of $57. So I could have gotten it there. I also enjoy my Diet Coke a little bit too much, which is another way that I can do this. But each and every one of us can look at our own spending and think about how we can take it and find 57. And if not 57, start with 10 and then ratchet it up to 15. And little by little, what you'll find is that you can get there and you can invest it. And so I'm going to leave you with one final thought about it. And this goes back to time, because we can't go back and start a new beginning, right? Once we've lost time, we can never go back. But anyone can start today and make a new ending. And that's really what I want you to encourage, is to find those nickels, those dimes, those pennies, even if you can, to put towards yourself in your retirement so that you can enjoy reunions and some of those other things that people talked about that they had spent their summer doing. And with that, I'll send it back to you, Cammie.
Thank you so much, Stacy. What a great message, that we can start anytime, but also I think it's really valuable to see it in black and white, like those visuals that you provided. It's really amazing to see what happens over time. So thank you for a wonderful Be Well moment. All right, I'm going to go ahead and spotlight myself. Stacy, you can have camera on or off, totally up to you. And we will get going with our movement part of Stretch with a Leader today. So find yourself some space. Let's take our feet a little wider than hip width apart. We'll start with some deep breaths with our movement. So big inhale, reach your arms up. And as you exhale, bring your hands just to your thighs, a little half fold. Let's do that 2 more times. Big inhale up. Exhale, fold part way. And 1 more time. Let's come up to standing. We're going to interlace our fingers, press your palms away from you. Round through your back, pull your shoulder blades apart, look down towards the floor, and then stand up. Big inhale. Reach your hands back. Come back to the center and then push your palms together, and we'll reach to the left. Big side stretch. Reach to the right. You can even let your hip move to the left a little more. Back to the center. Release the arms. Interlace your fingers behind your back. Reach your hands straight down towards the ground, and then maybe lift your hands just a little bit. Then we're going to do that whole sequence again. So interlace fingers out in front, palms push away around through the back. Look down at the ground. Big inhale, reach up. Maybe even a little bit more of a back bend this time. Come back to the center, take your palms together and reach to the right. Maybe let the left hip move out a little further, and then reach to the left. Big long side stretch. Come back to the center, release the arms, interlace fingers behind your back, Reach your hands straight down, pull your shoulder blades back. Make sure your knees are soft here. Start to lift the hands. If your hands will move, maybe they won't, that's okay. And now just do a little bit of a hinge forward. Maybe your hands are lifting or maybe they're staying by your hips. All right, go ahead and stand back up. Release the hands and do a few shoulder rolls. All right, we're going to take the left arm across your body. Right arm scoops up underneath and then just pin your arm into your body. From here, we're just going to twist a little bit towards the right. Just twist, twist, pulling the arm. And then come back to the center. Sweep the arms open and then switch across the body and hand. Sweeps out in front and then start to pull and twist over to the left. And come back to the center, release the arms. Let's do one more each side. Wrap the right arm underneath and start to twist. And center, release. And then left arm wraps underneath and twist. And back to the center. All right, we're going to take our feet maybe just a touch wider. Sweep the left arm up over your head and really reach into a side stretch. And if you'd like, you can even push onto the toes of your right foot so you get even more side stretch. And then release the arm. Let's do the other side, sweep up and over. If you want to go a little further, come up on the toes on the left foot so your right hip moves out a little more. And then release the arm. All right, let's take our feet even wider so you can just heel toe them out, as wide as you feel comfortable with, and just start to move a little bit side to side. Notice where you're feeling the stretch. Maybe the inner thighs feel a little tight. Let's try and mobilize our hips a bit. Always move at your own speed. Only stretch as far as you feel safe with. Let's hold it to this side here. And then we're going to lift the right toes up in the air. And just notice how that stretch is feeling. And then we'll put the toes down. Go ahead and switch sides. And lift up the left toes. Just noticing the stretch. Okay, go ahead and put the toes down. And we'll come up. And we're just going to switch our weight back again to the left. And then just start to turn the foot. So the left foot opens. And then we'll straighten out the leg a little bit. And then bend the knee. We're just going to do a few like that. Straighten and bend. Okay, let's hold it straight this time. And then see if you can just reach your chest like way out in front of your foot, like 3 or 4 feet. Look out there and think about pulling your chest towards that spot, several feet out there. Okay, go ahead and bend the knee, turn the toes back to the front, and then we'll switch sides. So bending the right knee, and we're going to turn the right leg open and do a few straighten and bend. Okay, this time we're going to hold the leg straight. Look out in front of you, 3 or 4 feet, and then think about pulling your chest way out towards that spot. So you get a nice little hamstring stretch. Okay, we'll take a bend to the knee again and then turn the foot. So you're facing forward, and then we'll just heel toe our feet back in or step them to about hip width apart. Let's take a big inhale, reach the arms up. And as you exhale, folding all the way forward, hands can rest on your shins, on your ankles, or you can dangle your arms. You can bend your knees as much as you need to relax your low back. And then we're just gonna sway the hips a little bit side to side. And then big inhale, reach the arms all the way up. And then release your arms down at your sides. And you guys are all done. Great job. Thanks so much for joining today. And thank you, Stacy, for being here with us and sharing a great Be Well moment.